It's Lisa here with your love note for January 20th, 2021. I hope you're having a great day. Today, I want to encourage you to breathe. Just take a great, big, fat, deep breath and seriously blow it out. We need to breathe, y'all. It's interesting, today's inauguration day within the United States, and in reading my news feed, it's been really interesting how many people have used the word exhale. That on, for people I know on one side of the political equation, they feel like they've been holding their breath for like the last 4 years and haven't had the opportunity to feel like they can freely exhale. And then today, folks that I know messaging me who weren't so happy with the fact that the inauguration happened today at all, who are feeling like they've been sucker punched, can't catch their breath, and feel like they can't breathe. We need a big collective exhale. What the guides came in and talked about really early this morning, before activities started in Washington today, they said that there was a real need for a non-attachment to outcomes. That when we are attached to a specific outcome, that's actually a couple of things. Number one, it's when we're trying to control a situation that we have absolutely no control over. Number two, it's when we are mucking up the system and getting in the divine's way for actually helping to facilitate an elegant solution to whatever the problem is with as much ease and grace as possible. And number three, that when we are attached to an outcome and that outcome doesn't happen, that's when suffering starts. Whether it's relationships, jobs, families, health, whatever the situation is, when we attach to an outcome and that outcome isn't realized the way we thought it should be realized, all the details, the way we worked out in our brain that it should go, that's when suffering happens. And over the past, several years in the US and around the world, we have seen everyone have an opportunity to attach to some kind of an outcome that if they try to control it within their own minds, it's likely cause suffering. Whether it's been through the pandemic, whether it's been through protests, whether it's been through politics, whether it's been through financial concerns, whether it's been through health, whether it's been through relationships, pick your issue. Something with an attachment to outcome has potentially triggered suffering within your mind, your heart, your body, your world. So today the guides are just encouraging, try the non-attachment to outcome approach. Now for a lot of us, this is easier said than done. But we are also living in a time when we are shifting. Earth is up leveling. I mean, the energies on the earth are just up leveling. There is no playbook for how this is supposed to look. There is no like format or formula that we can follow, that we can wrap our smart brains around as to how this is supposed to go. But yet when we try that from our limited view and our 3D perspective, when we try to dictate how 5D shows up, we don't see the whole playing field. We don't see the whole playing board, all the pieces and how they're all working. And so when we say the only way to get to Y is for X to happen, like just exactly like this, we're kind of missing the point. And we're kind of constipating the amazing creative potential of the universe. And we don't want to constipate the creator and the universe. That's not cool. Ultimately, we're just causing suffering in our own minds and in our own hearts. So, with all of that, they said, look, try non-attachment to outcome. We are invited to set an intention. So, whatever you want to see for the future, in a big picture perspective. If you are a person who is aligned with the light, for example, then I might say we could set an intention like, there's one written that I wrote down, if your heart is in allegiance with love, then you can set the intention to keep your sights on a most benevolent outcome rooted in love that supports the liberation of all beings. How does that play out? Hell if I know. I don't know. I don't know the who, what, when, where, or why, or the details of that. But when we set intentions for the benefit and most benevolent outcome for not just ourselves, but for everybody, rooted in love and fueled by light, and then go, okay, let's do this. And then allow ourselves to be amazed and surprised by the elegant ways that that can come about, by the magic that can happen, by setting intentions and then getting the hell out of the way. It sure seems a lot more enjoyable than setting attachments and then being pissed off, frustrated, and confused and doubtful and mistrusting when things don't happen by some kind of a formula that we were predicting, that we had no control over in the first place. So, with that, they are encouraging us to breathe because this idea of attachment and subsequent suffering can feel like suffocation. It can feel like claustrophobia. It can feel like you're being buried in quicksand or kicked in the gut. A lot of people have felt that for the last 4 years. A lot of people who haven't felt it for the last 4 years today are going, oh God, that's what this feels like. I've heard about this. People who have been in their houses for far longer than their social nature might, have been feeling this because they're attached to, I want a social life already. Can I have a margarita in a bar? And so hence the suffering that comes in that doesn't feel good. And that's actually the lower vibe gist that makes moving toward the upleveling of earth, the higher frequency of energies, actually that much more difficult. So what they said we can do, the best thing we can do is actually up our own vibration, hold higher frequencies of energies within ourselves that then can impact in a positive way the rest of the world. And the best way to do that, they actually encourage us to do it right now. So if you will, with me, please take a big, deep breath in. Seriously, breathe in. And take a big, deep breath out. Allow yourself to fully exhale. So often we go through life just sniffing at the air and not actually fully inhaling or exhaling our breath at all. So breathe in and let yourself fully breathe out. Then what they encourage is to actually focus on your heart. So focus right in the center of your chest where your heart chakra is and actually try to remember what love feels like or what gratitude feels like, what joy feels like. Remember what that feels like. Generate that feeling inside the center of your chest. And with each breath in, amplify that feeling. Let it grow bigger and bigger and bigger, boosting those energies of gratitude and of love and of joy in such a way that it spills out to fill your entire body. And as you continue to amplify the energies and allow them to grow, you can imagine them moving out and filling up your entire room, your entire house, your entire community, state, even the entire nation and world, depending on how much love, gratitude, or joy you can generate within your own heart. You're going to feel better. You are. And when you do this, and especially if you can do it regularly, the world around you is going to start seeming a little brighter because this kind of energy is actually contagious. If we want something, if we want some virus to be contagious, then let it be the virus of good vibes. Let's let it be the virus of good vibes. You're right, Karen, it is not easy. Karen says, I've been trying to practice non-attachment, but it is certainly difficult, and it is. And we have had so many opportunities to practice over the last year, 2 years, 4 years, how many ever years? Years. And it's like all these opportunities to practice non-attachment have been stacking up to where it's like, okay, humans, you need to get this. This is really important to help you get to the next level. Let it go. Now, the advocate in me in the past would have said, but if I attach and if I work really, really hard, and if there's some specific outcome that I'm working for, then I can affect positive change by holding on to this one outcome and busting my ass to make it happen. And there's the part of me now that goes, oh, okay, there's a whole lot I can't make happen. But through my intention and my energy, and through a willingness not to attach to specifics of an outcome, to all the logistical who, what, when, where, whys, hows of the outcome, but to hold the intention for a most benevolent outcome in every situation, benevolent for all people involved, not just me, everyone else, including the earth and all beings on and in it. And fuel that with love, and then trust. Trust that the universe is going to step in and do its work. Trust whoever you believe in, whether it's God, you know, the angels, the energy of the universe, the creative power of love, whatever. Trust that it actually wants to see a most benevolent outcome too. And it's actually just waiting for us humans to stop making it so damn hard. Because what we're seeing around us is responding to our collective energy. And so when our collective energy is higher, when it's fueled by love, gratitude, joy, a sense of alignment with the divinity within ourselves, a recognition of it within us, and a recognition of it within everybody else around us too, regardless of what political party they're a part of, regardless of their stance on masks, regardless of, you know, whether they have blue hair or gray hair or whatever, that we are innately divine beings and so is everybody else. And that we don't have to be so attached to proving everyone else wrong or dictating a certain path forward a certain way. That's what actually allows us to align with our soul and to work with the universe so that whatever the most benevolent way forward is can actually be the way we take instead of the way that we keep gumming up by continuing to attach to outcomes that might not be so helpful. So they said if your heart is, what else did they say? That this is one more way. The last 2 days we've talked about self-love and also self-compassion. They said that this concept of non-attachment to outcomes is also a path of self-compassion as well. Because if we don't believe that we actually have to control every single little detail, if we allow ourselves to surrender into the idea that if we set an intention and if we fuel it with love and, you know, make the intention for a most benevolent outcome with for everyone and say, all right, spirit, you know, here you go. And be willing to work together in a co-creative process. Doesn't mean we just hand it off and say, see ya. We got to be willing to work together. But sometimes the way we need to work and the way that we need to show up isn't the way we would have come up with on our own. It just isn't. The thought wouldn't have come to us. You know, they gave me the example, and this is kind of, this is, well, this example spoke to me, right? And what they said is that I had a dog and I loved this dog, He was a big, like, Great Pyrenees, and I just loved his big, furry, squishy face, and I loved the way he would hog the couch and that I'd cuddle all up on him. And I even loved him when he would drag in the deer skins that hunters would field dress their deer and leave in the field behind my house. He would bring those as presents. I even loved him when he would go out and get all muddy and then come in and immediately go jump in my bed and waller around and everything had to be washed. I loved him through all of that. I loved this dog. So when Spirit came to me in meditation one day and said, hey, I need you to reach out to your uncle and see if he'd like to have your dog. What? Really? There was serious pouting going on. But Spirit knew better than I did what was up. Spirit saw the whole playing board that I couldn't see from my vantage point of where I was right now. I had no idea I would be selling my house within a month and a half. I had no idea that a global pandemic was going to happen and then I'd have to move back in with my mom for a little while after I sold my house and then into, back into a cottage where I can't have a pet inside. I had no idea that my uncle, who took the dog, had said no to taking several other dogs before this one. I had no idea that it seemed like their souls were actually connected. Had I held on to this attachment to this dog and that he was going to be my pet, for the next 10 years, a lot of grace would not have had the opportunity to flow in the meantime. Was it hard? Yeah. I love that dog. I still love that dog. But I listened and I got out of the way. And through an avenue of non-attachment, it's actually better for the dog, better for my uncle, probably better for me. And I know that there'll be another dog in my future when I, at some future point. But it was just a practical example for me of how, had I been so attached to an outcome, an even better outcome wouldn't have been possible. So I don't know what you get out of any of this other than, to the extent that you can reduce your own suffering by breathing. By breathing. And this is something, today, just like January 1st, 2021 didn't magically turn some new page in the weird energies going on in the world. Today didn't magically shut the door on what, some on whatever energies you perceived as being the energies of the past 4 years, okay? Or the energies moving forward. It's a different chapter. It's a different chapter. We're still in the same book. It's a different chapter. And so there will be things that come up in the future that might make you feel like it's hard to breathe, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on or where you are in any of these big issues. Every time you get that pit in your stomach feeling, take a breath. Seriously, take a breath. Because there's legitimately, they've told me this for the last several months so many times, there's genuinely something about our body's capacity to breathe out that negative, stuck energy that feels like it makes it hard to breathe. And even if you envision breathing it up into like the eye of a hurricane and letting the hurricane take it away, however you need to envision breathing it, that's what you're going to need to do. But breath can really help you move through getting beyond attachment. So I hope this has been helpful. Times are still weird. I laugh because what else are you going to do, right? Times are still, we still live in interesting times. And some are feeling this today in a way that they haven't felt in a long time. And some are feeling the flip side of that in a way that they haven't felt in a long time. And it's just, I think, an opportunity to remember we're all on this third rock from the sun together. And a lot of the things that we allow to divide us and separate us in the big scheme of things aren't all that important. Love is. Love yourself. Remember always that you are incredibly loved. Always and in all ways. You are worthy and deserving of that love. And when you are convinced of that completely inside you, it is so much easier to go from a genuine place of non-attachment to pay that love forward. And that's what the world needs more of right now, paying the love forward. So have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.